Most agents I know don't want a big, massive business or a huge team. They just want a good business that creates good income and as much time freedom as possible. But the problem in our industry is that we've been taught and we've come to believe that if we want to double our sales, we have to double our time. And we've quietly accepted that as an industry as that's the trade-off, even though deep down we hate it. Because most of us don't just want a bigger business at any cost. And as believers, we shouldn't accept that I have to trade being present for my family, as I have to trade being present at church on Sunday mornings and at Bible study during the week because I have to go show homes and I got to sell houses and I got to do X, Y, and Z. That those are some of the trade-offs, of course, that happen sometimes in our industry. But the biggest lie in real estate is that if you want to make more money, you have to be willing to give up more of your life. You know, I remember hearing this story just a few days ago of an agent who had worked a Zillow lead, had actually showed a house to this family a year ago, had showed up with her fiance at the time, her engagement ring on her left hand. And then a year later, they called that same agent to go see another house. That agent no longer had the ring on her finger. She told them she was no longer engaged. And she said, it's just something I had to give up because I was too busy selling houses. Like somehow being too busy for your future marriage or too busy for your kids or too busy for dinner, too busy to breathe is proof that you're serious about this business, and it's not. It's simply proof that your business is built in a way that is costing you too much. So today we're going to talk quickly about how to double your sales without doubling your time. Let me say this clearly. You are not wrong for wanting to grow. Wanting to provide more for your family is a good thing. Wanting more margin, more stability, more income, more opportunity, that's not selfish. But if the only way to get there is by becoming less present, less peaceful, less available, less healthy, then something about that model is broken. And the good news is you don't need to double your time to double your sales, but you do need a different approach. And I'm going to give you a quick 3-part framework today. I'm going to be doing a training on this on April 29th. I want you to come. It's an hour-long training, totally free. Go to faithfulagent.com. You can register right there. We're going to dive in much deeper on all 3 of these framework pieces, but I'm going to give you the overview here today. Now, of course, before I dive in, let me tell you a Christian dad joke. A stranger asked the pastor to pray for their hearing. He put his hands on their ears and prayed. Then he asked if their hearing was better. The stranger told him they wouldn't know until Monday when they went to court and appeared before the judge. All right, my 3-part framework to double your sales without doubling your time. First, and you've heard me say this, simplify your lead generation strategy. The reality is that most of us are spending time, energy, and money on lead gen activities that don't actually matter. And so we have this business that is costing us time, it's costing us energy, it's keeping us away from our family, and it's not producing results because we're just doing things that don't matter over and over and over again. So we got to simplify how we generate business. A lot of agents I know are exhausted, not just because they are working hard, but because they're trying to do too many things at once. A little Instagram, a little cold outreach, a little open houses, a little paid ads, a little YouTube, a little farming, a little referrals, a little networking. And what happens is you get really busy, but not necessarily productive. The agents who I know or have coached who scale well, they don't do more. They actually do fewer things better. You've probably heard me talk about this, and if not, you can go look it up and look up the episode, The Rule of Eights, where I talk about how do we focus on the first generation strategy that matters and the second and then the third. But understanding anytime I ask an agent, where does most of your business come from? It's almost always exclusively by referral. And then if I ask them, what's the second way, they may or may not know. Sometimes they say, well, I think it's social media. But then they're spending an insane amount of time on social media and almost no time in the referral business, which is actually generating their deals. And so what do they need to do? They need to simplify. They need to scale down. They need to let go of everything that isn't producing results and focus on being excellent at the one or two ways that are actually generating business. If you don't love social media, that's okay. Don't do it. If you don't love cold calling, that's okay. Don't do it. If you can't be gone every weekend at an open house, that's okay. Don't do it. Figure out where can you be excellent and then go be excellent. I've done one thing in my entire real estate career. It's generated over 700 closings in just 12 years, and I'm not from this area, but I just mastered referrals. I've never made a cold call. I've never even done an open house. I've never done farming. I've never gone to a networking event. I'm terrible on social media. I'm not that interesting. I don't do paid ads. I've never bought a lead. I've never called an expired or a FSBO. I've just worked by relationships. And so the beauty has been by having a simple business plan. It allowed me to figure out how to become exceptional at that one thing. And so not only does it produce 50 transactions a year, it doesn't take very long to do it. I average a roughly 1 to 2 hours a week of lead generation, and that's it. The truth is, if you want to double your sales, the fastest way to do it is to build a simpler, more repeatable lead generation model, especially one built around relationships, referrals, and consistency. You don't want a business that only produces when you show up. Referrals means when I'm sitting there with my family, but one of my clients or someone in my database who I've served really well is out hanging out with their friends and they're talking about buying or selling homes, my lead generation is still happening even though I'm present with my family. Because of that, it gave me back my time without slowing down the growth of my business. The truth is, simplicity scales where complexity fails. You don't need more complex. You don't need more things to do. You don't need to spend more hours. Almost everyone I've ever coached actually needs to do less. They just need to do it better. Simplify your lead generation strategy. Number 2, leverage systems and people. The second way you grow, now this is in steps. You've got to simplify your lead generation strategy so you start generating more consistent and repeat business. But then the second way you grow without doubling your time is utilizing leverage. And this is where a lot of agents get stuck because they keep trying to solve a systems problem with more personal effort. They're following up manually. They're rewriting the same email. They're re-explaining the same things to clients. They're chasing details that should already have a process. And eventually, the business will grow to a point where you actually become the bottleneck. Most agents I know need to stop acting like agents and start acting like business owners. At some point, growth requires support, which probably means better systems, better workflows, better automation, better client communication, and really eventually better people around you. But if every single sale still depends on more of you, then growth is always going to feel heavy. You're always going to make the sacrifice of more deals equals more time away. And that's not what we're going for. One of the biggest struggles that I see, and I know I keep saying that, but when the agent actually starts figuring out how to generate more deals, it just means they spend more time out in the field, more time away, and the tension starts to grow. I'm doing a lot of deals. I'm making really good money, but now I'm not home as often as I want. I remember an agent coming up to me after I gave a talk And she came up to me and said, that was super helpful. Garrett, I sold 40 homes last year. But literally last night, my husband came to me and said, honey, when are you going to come home? And I told her she figured out her lead generation strategy. That's amazing. Now she needs leverage. Systems, of course. What do we do consistently? That means we can take that off our plate or spend less mental time and energy. But one of the best ways to get leverage is with people. People helping you in your business. If you don't have an admin, you are an admin. And why would you do $30 an hour work when your lead generation is $500 an hour work? Do that instead. Find a transaction coordinator that you can pay a couple $100 to handle the 10 hours of paperwork that happens when you get a client under contract. Go find a showing assistant who can show houses for you, because the reality is this client didn't hire you to see 9 out of 10 houses you don't want. They hired you to negotiate and get them the house they do want. You don't have to be at everything. And this is coming from a guy who has worked exclusively by referral. Guess what? They're not committed to me as much as they're committed to the standard of service that I represent. So as long as I have a good transaction coordinator, as long as I have a showing assistant who gives them a similar experience, guess what? They don't care. It's not me. We need to bring people into our world, give them opportunity, hire the 18-year-old at your church who for $20 an hour can go put up a sign in a lockbox, because why are you driving an hour to go do that when you should be home with your family? We need to understand leverage better. We need to bring people into our world. It's not about you. It's about the standard of service that you represent. And the last thing I'll say is this. When you go to the doctor, who do you see? Well, you check in at the front desk. You see the nurse for the vast majority of the time. Maybe the doctor is in there for 5 or 10 minutes. Then you see the nurse again. Then you check out with the front desk. Well, when someone asks you, do you have a doctor that you love? Do you tell them the name of the nurse or the front desk? Do you even know the name of the nurse or the front desk? Or do you say, oh, I love Dr. McCormick? People are wired to think about and remember the doctor. You're the doctor. If you bring people to help you, transaction coordinator, someone to show houses for you, to buy back your time, guess who they remember? If they have a good experience, you. We got to get leverage in place. And finally, once we've simplified our lead generation, once we've leveraged ourselves, we have to 3, protect our time on purpose. This is something the industry almost never teaches. We're going to hit on this quickly. Go to faithfulagent.com. I want you to register for this free class because I want to help you in a more intentional way. I want to help you make more and miss less. You have to protect your time before your business will respect it. Most agents wait for life to slow down before they put boundaries in place, but it doesn't work that way. If you don't decide ahead of time what matters most, your dinners, your evenings, your family rhythm, your weekend, your mental peace, then your business is going to consume whatever space you leave open. Protecting time doesn't mean you're lazy. It doesn't mean that you have bad customer service. In fact, it means you're building with intention and you're prioritizing the priority. The goal is not just more sales. The goal is more sales in a way that still lets you be there for the people you're building it for in the first place. So if you've been feeling that tension lately, you want to make more money, you want to grow, you want to do bigger things, but you also don't want to lose your life in the process, I just want to encourage you that tension does not mean you're weak. It means you're awake. You're starting to realize that more is only worth it if it actually serves what matters most. And the good news, there's a better way to build. If this is something you've been wrestling with, like I've said, I'm doing a free training on April 29th where I'm going to walk through this in a much more practical way. I'll show you how to build a business that can grow without requiring more of your nights, your weekends, and your life. You can register totally free right now, faithfulagent.com. Again, that's faithfulagent.com, and I'd love to have you there. Faithful Agents, I love you, and I will see you next time. Hey, Christian Agent, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If it resonated, would you take 30 seconds and share it with another agent who's also trying to grow their business without losing their faith, family, or peace? That's how this message spreads. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future episodes. I release new ones each Thursday to help you build success that actually lasts. It genuinely fires me up knowing this podcast is helping you pursue excellence to the glory of God, both at work and at home. I'll meet you back here next week for another episode of The Faithful Agent.